Welcome back to the tailoring. What are we called?
How can you
I
forget?
don't know either. Leave this in because it's hilarious.
What podcast is this?
We are the Tailoring Talk podcast.
Magazine, movie, marathon, impossible marathon.
Write in for a free double-decker if you know what this podcast is called.
Yeah, exactly.
We're so
Welcome back to
professional.
Tailoring Talk. Yeah, I know. Welcome back to Tailoring Talk, and this is the movie marathon, the Mission Impossible movie marathon. My friends and I are watching every single Mission Impossible movie leading up to the release of The Final Reckoning in May 2025, which, as we record this, is next week. So we've got to get a move on. Yes, we are finally at Dead Reckoning Part 1. We are going to spoil the hell out of this film. I'm here with my hastily assembled IMF team members. Alex Hansford, how are you?
I'm okay. Just like Benji, I'm a bit sarcastic, wishing I was somewhere else, but I'm here.
Okay, cool. Are your glasses hiding a lot of tech? They look a little bit too thin to be
These
hiding
ones-
anything meaningful that could do any sort of
No.
AR-related type stuff.
Yeah, they're quite.
You know
quite
I'm
boring.
asking you this, don't you?
Why are you asking me this?
Because there's something that happened in the film. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh,
Anyway.
no, the augment. Yeah, okay. We'll get onto it.
Yeah. Hello, John.
Hello.
You're going to be the voice of reason.
Sprightly and athletic, like I want to get a metal pole and do like backflips down a really tight alleyway with blonde hair. That's me. I am Paul
that
Cruise.
is the very long name of his latest sex tape.
Yeah.
So I want to get a long pole and do backflips down a dark alley.
Oh lordy, that
Oh,
wasn't
God, I'm
intentional,
sorry.
Bobby.
Have you been
If
drinking?
you are joining us, thank you so much. But if you haven't seen Dead Reckoning, please hit pause, go see it, and then come back and join us. When Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 hit theatres in summer 2023, it had all the hallmarks of a Tom Cruise / Mission Impossible blockbuster, globe-trotting action, practical stunts that defied death performed by the man himself, and a studio betting very, very big on Cruise's ability to single-handedly save cinema post the COVID-19 pandemic. But instead of dominating the box office like Top Gun Maverick did with its plus billion-dollar haul, Dead Reckoning landed with a disappointing thud with a reported budget of nearly $300 million and a global box office haul of just over $560 million. It was not the triumph that Paramount had hoped for. Even worse, it was steamrolled by a little indie film called Barbie and a 3-hour atomic bomb epic called Oppenheimer. So, how did a movie with this much star power, critical goodwill, and franchise equity lose its fitting? Let's find out. When Dead Reckoning began production in early 2020, the world was on the verge of shutting down. The film was meant to shoot back-to-back with its sequel, Part 2, and director Chris McQuarrie, Cruise's go-to creative partner by now, had grand ambitions. But then came COVID to screw us all up, not just this production. Sorry, I've got really bad memories of that COVID period.
I mean, this is not helping,
Production
is it?
shut.
Us all being here on camera together like this when we're talking about COVID.
This
I'm getting triggered
no,
myself,
this
mate.
is this is fine. It means you don't go putting your hand into my popcorn when I don't want you to. It's the name of my sex tape. When
Not to say
Dead
that, you got it
Reckoning,
there first.
yeah, production shut down in Italy after only days of filming. What followed was a nightmare. Rescheduled locations, rewritten scenes, budget ballooning due to new safety protocols, and more delays than a Heathrow terminal in a snowstorm.
Bobby,
Despite these challenges,
Mission Impossible, the safety protocol sounds like a really terrible Mission Impossible film, by the way.
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Despite these challenges, Cruise pressed forward with military-grade intensity. He famously yelled at crew members for breaking COVID protocol, audio of which was leaked to the press and divided public opinion. Some called him a hero for defending jobs and safety, and others saw a man on the edge. I was in the former category. I actually had a lot of respect for him for that, because at the end of the day, you know, none of us knew what this pandemic was going to bring. if life would ever return to normal, if this was the end of everything as we knew it. You know, and this poor guy here is trying to keep a production going, and you know, one person's recklessness basically could have shut the whole thing down again and cost people their livelihoods. So there we go. I will ask you two for your opinion, but if you don't want to give it for obvious reasons, then you don't have to.
I think it depends on your life situation. If you have a lot of history of people passing away during lockdown, you probably would not be sympathetic to Cruise. If lockdown was less of a burden to you, maybe you would. So it very much depends on your situation, I think. I like the fact that the film's made, and I don't think any bad came of it, really. I think a few people got COVID on set, and you know, Tom Cruise basically when I think 12 people tested positive for COVID-19 on set. So a way of dealing with that, he personally paid £500,000 for an old cruise ship for the cast and crew to isolate on. So yes, he is a very wealthy man that can deal with situations in his own way. Much like him spending an absolute fortune this week on going to the airport with his new girlfriend Anna de Armas, flashing money there as well.
I've got something to tell you.
What God?
I can't tell you yet.
Is it top secret? You're going to the wedding.
Secret, but
you're going to the wedding.
No.
Tell us off camera later on, mate.
It's got nothing to do with him and everything to do with her.
Okay.
But I can't tell you yet.
Yeah. So I mean, look, Tom Cruise strikes me.
I will just leave that there and let your imaginations run wild.
I'm hoping that whatever it is, we're invited to.
But it could. No, you won't. But it could involve me, a tape measure, and Paloma.
I think you're saying too much already.
You are.
Yeah. But I think Tom Cruise, you know, he's a wealthy man, but he's a hardworking, devoted, obsessively professional, nice man, and I think the way he dealt with this was how he would have dealt with it. You know, Joe on the street couldn't have dealt with it the same way, and you know, he's in the public eye as well. So, whatever your opinion, I think there are worse people in the world that would have dealt with it in a worse way, if that makes sense. You know, like suggesting you drink bleach or something. I don't know. Alex, how about you? What's your opinion on this?
Yeah, I mean, I just think the only challenge with being Mr. Nice Guy is that you can't keep that up forever. I mean, he might have had the right intentions, but being on the receiving end of that must not have been particularly good.
No.
But that said, you have to take it in the round, and in the round, it's a brilliant outcome, and you know it is important that you take these things seriously. So yeah, so I do get it, but I just don't like the idea of being on the receiving end of Tom Cruise. But anyway, that's all. So I'm not going to negotiate anything with him.
He's got a very similar reality distortion effect to Steve Jobs, hasn't he, Tom Cruise? That's the problem.
Yeah, and
a hard man to say no to.
It's lucky that he can do that, but that obviously is an extraordinary amount of privilege. That,
totally. But I just don't think criticism.
You know, each to his own. It's not. I'm not saying he did the wrong thing. I'm just saying I wouldn't have acted that way, but that's because I'm not him. So that's the thing. So when everyone does that, you have to relate it to yourself. If I was Tom Cruise with his resources, I probably would do the same thing.
He is also going to lose some marks on my rating for taking Anna de Armas away from me, by the way, just so you know. That's going to affect the ratings.
Oh, yeah. Now we know that. The scores could change.
Yeah.
Oh, God, this rating system is baloney.
How dare he? How dare he? I was saving myself for her. Don't tell Becca, obviously, but, you know, he's taking her away from me now, so what am I going to do?
I'm probably going to edit this whole section out. By the time principal photography resumed in earnest, the film's scope had grown dramatically. Cruise was reportedly rewriting scenes with Chris McQuarrie on the fly, chasing bigger and more elaborate set pieces. The train sequence was shot practically. The cliff jump, it was done for real, with Cruise rehearsing 500 skydives and 13... I think I added an extra couple zeros in there by mistake, but a lot of motorbike jumps.
13,000, Bobby. The actual figure was 13,000. So if you wrote 13,000, you are correct.
Yeah, I did write 13,000.
That is correct.
Wow.
Flipping heck.
Because I just watched the making of all the stunts, and they mentioned that being 13,000 in the featurette. So.
Oh, God. And yeah, for all this real-world risk, the production couldn't escape the fury of the real world. The film was originally greenlit with a budget closer to $200 million, and as I said before, the budget exploded to nearly $300 million, with some sources quoting even higher numbers once global advertising was factored in. Alex has talked about this on previous episodes, both here and on Play Pause Turn. It's not just the initial budget of a movie, but it's also everything that goes into marketing the thing afterwards. So to hit break even, what's the factor, actor? What's the factor, actor? What's the factor, Alex?
It's got to be more than two. So
more
it's
than
like
double?
three is
it's got to be
sweet spot.
double, at least double to break even.
Yeah,
so more
but like double is the minimum. Like even if you do double, they're not that impressed because
it's not a success,
of how much.
Basically.
Yeah.
COVID delays and safety measures added tens of millions of dollars to costs. Location moves from Italy to Norway to the UK and back were logistically challenging, and then there was the fact that part one was being shot without a fully locked in script for part two, which, as we know, creates inefficiencies. Tom Cruise and Christopher McQuarrie reportedly threw out entire sequences mid-shoot, including one involving submarines, which may or may not reappear in part two. The creative process was organic, but in a production this large, organic is just another word for
Bobby.
Expensive.
Let me interrupt you there. I always do. So you mentioned about the submarine scene. Again, in some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, with the one where you've got Chris McQuarrie and the editor talking about why they cut certain scenes, coverage scenes in the submarine. There's one in particular where they're showing the captain walking through the submarine to all the locations of the submarine. And in the actual film, it's great because they have a split screen showing you the initial shots with the first run of the VFX and then a final shot and the VFX and extra lighting and so on. But the split screen scene shows the captain. Oh, hit my mic. The captain walking through a lot of the sections of the submarine. In the second shot, it shows him just arriving and having his cup of coffee. Now, Q says, we thought we'd cut these scenes out because of pace and so on, but keep an eye out for the second film. There'll be more of these locations in the second film. So he's definitely hinting at using the submarine a lot more in the second film. And we know that from some of the trailers as well. But I find that really exciting. Yeah. Because I love a submarine film as well myself. So
the beginning of this kind of reminded me again, sort of reminded me of Bond. Tomorrow Never Dies came to mind. It was again a very different opening, which I kind of appreciated as well. Not just kind of repeating the same trick every single time. And then it was also intriguing as well. Really when you realise what
this scene was really well shot, actually. The framing and the overlays was really well shot. I was really impressed with it. McHugh could do an entire submarine film without anything else. It was amazingly shot.
Yeah. I think the moment you realise that the computer's glitching or doing a HAL thing, from Space Odyssey, it suddenly becomes super intriguing, I guess, especially for us because we're kind of into all that sort of technology shit. But also, I don't know, it's just, I think submarines terrify me as well. I'd never want to go in one. Like, to me, underwater is the same as going into space. Like, why would you do either?
Yeah,
it's very dangerous.
Do you know what I mean? Deep sea and space.
Bobby. I visited a couple of submarines.
You have?
Yeah. Well, you can go to one down in. Help me out here, Alex.
Gosport?
No, near where I live. No, it's on the tip of my tongue. Chatham Dockyards. So Chatham Dockyards have the Ocelot, and you can do tours around the submarine. They take you down to the missile room, and then all through the captain's quarters, living quarters, and you can put your head and look at the actual, the periscope and so on. and I'm a fairly big guy, but I'm also quite claustrophobic. But this is, and again, it's not like a modern sub like you see in this film, but the economy of space is so. There's no spare space whatsoever. You're living on top of each other. There's absolutely no way I could be a submariner. And in fact, my grandmother was there at the launch of that sub. My dad's name is on the wall next to the sub because he lived in Chatham Dockyard as a child. His dad was the head of the Admiralty and so on. So I've got a lot of history. And I like submarines just for my history, but I could never work on one. Lots of people do.
Yeah, my brother did.
These scenes are great. They didn't feel as claustrophobic as a lot of submarine scenes. It felt and I think that's on purpose because it's quite a modern. It's a state-of-the-art submarine in this sequence, isn't it? And that's especially the bit where they're walking out of the sphere that has the entity's like mainframe. It's an old 80s word inside it. That felt very expansive for a submarine. But
isn't that meant to be the cladding for the nuclear part of the submarine?
Yeah. Well, there's an engine. You see some of the engines as you walk out down the side, can't you, as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a lead lining, I think, for it as well.
Yeah, I think that's what they did. I think they added some wires to it because you don't need all that. But anyway, it's fascinating, really interesting, and what a place to start this film as well. Like
I've realised what it is that kind of got me is that in other films it's like all the throwaway NPCs basically get killed by the big bads and all of that, and then it sets the hero off on their path, sort of thing, right? In this, I think the way that it was shot, and you kind of initially when they sort of think that the missile wasn't a thing and that they're fine, it's the relief on their faces as we would be as well. And it's the humanization of even characters that are going to end up as floating bodies in the ice like 5 minutes later.
But it's also that missile's coming back at them. That's the thing, and they're chilled. Like, it's all fine. It's all going to be okay. And then it comes back at them, and then they realise this is for real now, not like a simulation. Oh, it's cracking. It's very clever.
Yeah, it's really good, really effective.
Adds weight to it almost, isn't it? It's really good.
So, kind of loosely running through the plot, the heart of the film is a modern nightmare, an artificial intelligence known only as the Entity, a sentient algorithm that has gone rogue and embedded itself across global digital infrastructures. It's like a wet dream to Alex. Its capabilities are near godlike. It can predict outcomes.
Nonsense, though. The whole thing is absolute nonsense.
Of course it is.
So
Control information, erase identities, and manipulate reality itself. Every world power wants to control it. Ethan Hunt is determined to destroy it. The key to the Entity literally is a two-piece cruciform key. Whoever possesses both halves can access the source code hidden inside a sunken Russian submarine, the Sevastopol, which lies on the bottom of the Arctic Ocean, following the mysterious prologue incident that we've just been talking about, where the Entity calls the vessel to self-sabotage. Ethan and his IMF team, Luther, Benji, are thrown into a globe-trotting chase to retrieve the key. Along the way, they cross paths with Grace, played by Hayley Atwell, a skilled pickpocket and grifter who becomes Ethan's reluctant partner.
Hold on, pause, because that's a lovely. Hold on, we don't know if that's her real name, though, do we?
No, we don't.
She's cast with only a single name. If you look at the cast list, and he says, "What's your name?" She went, "Grace." That'll do, Grace. So I think there's a clue there for the next film. Something's going to happen in that next film. A twist or, a clanger. I think they set her up for being something completely unexpected in the next film. We think she's like a lovely... I think my prediction, she's going to go bad.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Because if you think about it, right, if you look at all the other people, there's like Kitteridge, just Kitteridge.
Yeah.
Gabriel, just Gabriel. Ilsa Faust. All the main characters.
Well, Paris, who's the French
Paris,
lady, they named her after Leonard Nimoy's character from the original series. He was also called Paris, you see. So that's
nice.
a homage to Leonard Nimoy. Yeah, okay, you've got Briggs, you've got Degas, but I don't know. She says, yeah, Grace, that'll do. And she's throwing away like passports in the airport as she's walking along. And I just think, let's see what happens. Let's see if I'm
Too
completely
good at
wrong.
this.
Yeah,
What a good conspiracy.
It'd be a good
for the
twist,
next
though,
one.
wouldn't it? Yeah.
We've really
It's the last one,
confused
isn't it?
Bobby now.
It's the last one, so does it matter if she's good or bad? She's not going to be.
No, it
films.
matters. It matters because you've just been hating on Hayley Atwell for like 5 minutes.
Oh, I like Hayley Atwell. I just think it'd be a really interesting story. I wouldn't put it past McHugh to do that personally. Anyway,
Yep.
Okay.
back to your lovely description of Grace. Go on.
I know, I was done with her. Ilse Faust, who is now in possession of one half of the key and marked for death by everyone. Gabriel, played by Isai Morales, an agent of the entity and a spectre from Ethan's past who sees himself as a herald of a new AI-dominated world order. I hated him so much. He was so good.
He was very good. He was really good in that Battlestar Galactica spin-off series, Captain as well.
Yeah,
he played a young Amidala, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, that was great.
So he's got good acting clout. He's been in a few things actually. He's been like in the Dusk Till Dawn TV series as well, which is not that famous, but he's been in a lot of films. NYPD Blue, a lot of TV series, NCIS Los Angeles. But he's very good in this as well, isn't he? He's very
extremely,
but quite a different villain to Solomon as well. I think
it's a difficult one because you do feel like,
isn't it, really?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the right word. That's a really good word because you do feel like he has some more information than other people, but not a lot. Like, and quite a lot of the time, you're just like, it's almost like he's just given his life and agency to the entity. So he's just basically said, "You're better than this than I am. Go. I am."
However, he's got a checker pass with Ethan, and before the entity was around, he was a bit of a nasty piece of work, wasn't he? So
he was.
We'll have to see how that develops.
Yeah, I find it interesting because the thing is, it's not like he's the one driving it. Or it didn't feel that way. Maybe we'll see in the later one, but he's the kind of person that should have an agenda. But, I just don't. You'd think that either he knows he was chosen because of his history, or not. In which case, it's like, well, why was he chosen? What was his connection? What was the reason?
I think we don't know much in this film about this first brunette that was killed by
Marie.
But Marie's death was pinned on Cruz. Is that correct? That's the impression I got, which is why he had this choice to join the IMF or go to prison. So it's kind of set up, which means that Ethan's always been a pure-hearted guy. He just took the punishment like a man and took the choice. But I think we're going to see more of that story in the final reckoning. We'll have to wait and see, along with Grace's betrayal, obviously.
Yeah, it's the first time they talk about the choice.
Yes.
Ever in this series.
What if Grace is Marie's daughter and she wants to get revenge because she thinks Ethan Hunt killed her mother, and right at the last minute she realizes that when she's about to kill Ethan Hunt that he didn't kill her, and there's a double reversal where she's back to being his friend again at the end. I bet that's what happens.
I don't know. I mean, there's a reason why Macquarie doesn't call you to help with script writing and stuff, John.
Hey?
I don't know. I think my wife has got better sort of prediction chops than you. But we will see. We will come back after the film and we will come and compare notes.
Yeah. Oh my god, I'm so tired. Sorry, everybody.
Wake up,
Vanessa
Bobby,
Kirby.
wake up.
Are we boring you?
We're keeping you up, mate.
You are.
Would you like something to keep you going?
When I'm tired, I have no filter. And we haven't even got to your bloody gadget bit yet. Vanessa Kirby is back as Alana Mitsopoulos, the black market arms dealer and broker who goes by the alias of the White Widow. She is the daughter of Max,
She's lovely.
the deceased arms dealer, originally portrayed by Vanessa Redgrave in the very first movie. The lovely Pom Clementiev as Paris. We remember her from Guardians of the Galaxy, a French assassin who works for Gabriel. Mariella Garriga as Marie, only seen in a very brief flashback, a woman from Ethan and Gabriel's past. Henry Cerny returns finally as Eugene Kittredge, former director of the IMF, current director of the CIA. So he's first appearance in the franchise for 27 years, I think.
That's right.
Shea Wiggum as Jasper Briggs. Now, Jasper Briggs, a lot of people assume that's a reference to the Briggs from the original series.
I don't think it is.
But Jasper Briggs was actually the name of a character, was originally going to be the name of Giancarlo Esposito's character in The Usual Suspects. So Chris McQuarrie dug that one out from his little notebook and gave that to our US intelligence agent who has been assigned to hunting Ethan down. Carrie Elwes of The Princess Bride fame as Denlinger, the Director of National Intelligence, who is a creepy son of a gun. Yep. And Greg Tarzan Davis as Degas. Greg Davis is an actor, but also has done a lot of ADR work and that sort of thing. This is kind of like a first really, really big role for him, but he's basically Briggs's partner.
He was in Top Gun Maverick as well.
Was he in Maverick? Was he one of the pilots?
Yeah, he was Lieutenant Javi Coyote. He was Coyote Machado. I don't think you saw much of him, but he was in Top Gun Maverick, so he's obviously worked with crew.
Oh, okay. Okay, fine. So this was like his second big film.
Yeah. He was in Grey's Anatomy as well for a while. So that's quite a big series.
And then Frederick Schmidt returns as Zola Mitsopoulos, Alana's useless brother. Additionally, we see appearances from Rob Delaney, Indira Varma, and Mark Gatiss of League of Gentlemen fame and many other things.
Accent. Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah. He's a good actor. Rob Delaney, whenever I see him in something, there's always a danger he's going to take me out of the movie.
Just make a joke or something.
And he did a little bit, but that's not his fault.
He looked good in uniform, though. I thought, big guy, isn't he? He's a big guy.
He is.
Okay. Yeah. There you go.
Pretty well.
Yeah. Glad John had something to look at. I'm sorry. There we go. So I'm trying to think what happens there, because this film it's 2 hours and 45 minutes long.
But
it didn't feel like it.
You see him talking about stuff, and then this dude comes in with grey hair who looks like another operative, and he just slowly wanders in without any sort of like security procedures, and slowly wanders over to Kittredge and gives him a gas mask, and slowly wanders. But whilst they're all just chatting away, puts on a gas mask himself, and then throws these kind of like knockout bombs into the air and knocks everyone out, just so he can talk to Kittredge and do the old classic ripping of the old mask off, like Tom Cruise does.
I thought it was so good the way they did that, because you kind of... I remember seeing it the first time. Obviously, this time round I knew it was Ethan, but the first time round in the cinema, you're thinking, oh my God, who is this guy? Is it Ethan, or is it someone else that's going to kill everyone or something? Yeah, exactly. It was very, very well done, and again, sort of that old sort of callback to the original show and all that sort of thing. We love all that kind of mask stuff.
There's quite a few of those in this one as well. Quite a few callbacks.
It's played by Marcelo Walton, who was in Rush, the film about Nicky Lauder and James Hunt. So,
But I mean, Ethan's there. Basically, he listens to the entire briefing, so he gets obviously the info on what the entity actually is. But he also wants Kittredge to admit to what he did, which was he's the one that placed the bounty on Ilsa's head. And prior to this, we see the scene in the desert where he goes out there to find her, and then basically fakes her death to protect her from this bounty that's been put onto her head. There's a moment in there when we first see Ethan with the horse, and he's kind of horse whispering to it.
Yeah, it's lying on the ground, isn't it? He's like, "Stay down, stay down."
So that was inspired by a scene from The Outlaw Josie Wells. Is it Josie Wells? The Clint Eastwood film?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. One of Tom Cruise's favorite films. Like, he talks about remembering to see that when it first came out in the cinema. And so that was basically a homage to that. And obviously Tom Cruise did all the horse whispering and stuff himself, and he's the only guy on earth that could probably do it. So there we go.
I do all my own horse work,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Name of his other sex tape. So yeah. But apparently, so sorry, that was the story that I wanted to tell you guys. So they had to wait for the other horse riders to go past before he then gets up to go. But the horse basically didn't want to stay still. Every single time he heard the other horses, he wanted to go. So Tom Cruise had a bit of a Mission Impossible on his hands, getting the horse to stay down. But that movement, apparently, very hard to do, but also even harder to get that shot. And it looked really awesome.
They only had an hour of light each day to film that as well, to catch the right light at the right time. So it took them longer than expected because they could only film 1 hour a day, which is like hard work, isn't it? When you got all that the setup involved as well.
Yeah,
and the lighting was like very specific, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, exactly.
So,
it's kind
really
of like it's the witching hour, isn't it? Where you get that perfect light in the perfect direction. I would imagine Denis Villeneuve had similar problems when he was filming Dune, but yeah.
So when Ethan,
Karen, sorry.
I was going to say. So when Ethan escapes, the CIA bit, in Washington, then we get the titles, and I think this is now 28 minutes into the movie, which is the longest it's been for any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, very very long cold open. But did you notice the sort of glitching that was happening through the title sequence?
Yeah, it's very clever. And I think they did that to avoid too much being given away about the plot, because people were complaining about the openings. But also, as you say, as a fun little reference to the Entity. I quite like that. It's cool.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were going to say something else.
No, that's it. I just like the way they did that.
Okay, fine.
I still found the intro sequence, because I was having a chat with my wife Amy about this, and it was just like, she was like, "Oh, good, no, this includes a mix of things," and I was like, "No, this is all stuff from the film that's about to come up." So I still find it slightly spoilery, and so I still didn't know whether to watch it or not. But I think the glitching theme that goes through that first bit, just kind of that jarred me, and we'll come onto it when we get to the gadget bit, because I think we're just going to call it Alex's tech rant, or AI rant would be a good way of starting it.
There's a lot of sci-fi tech in this film that wouldn't, I can see why you say that.
So we're going to talk about that later, but I just I found it a little bit spoilery, that's all.
Yeah. So after the credits, we're then taken to Abu Dhabi International Airport. So this is a new wing of the airport that was about to open, and they gave it to the crew, basically. So they had exclusive use of it for a couple of weeks,
Isn't it gorgeous?
which is really cool. So they didn't have to build a set. It was done in the actual airport, and that airport looks absolutely stunning.
Why there's no scenes where glass is being smashed in action scenes there, because they couldn't do that, could they?
Makes sense.
Yeah. So they're there to intercept the second piece of the key, which is revealed to be fake. But this is the first time we meet Grace, played by Hayley Atwell, and isn't she delightful? I have to say, I absolutely love the costuming they did for her in this film.
Yeah, it was very good. Very flattering.
Yeah, she looks so good in every scene that she's in. To be honest, I'd be saying that if she was in a bin bag, but there we go.
But also, Bobby, the fact that she wasn't wearing Ana de Armas dress cut to her belly button, she looked amazing in dressed right up to her collar and her ankles. I thought that was really flatteringly done. It showed off her capability, showed off the beauty of her without being male gazy at all.
Yeah, without sexualizing and all the rest of it, like they do in the Bond movies. Yeah. But then obviously this turns into a really big chase sequence, which in fact that's why this film felt so exhausting, because this film is one long chase, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
Terminator 2.
Yeah.
Or Terminator. Terminator was a chase movie as well. So they have the chase through the airport. We see some callbacks to the original Mission Impossible because Ethan does his magic trick with the key.
Yep.
Is it here?
Yeah.
Is it here?
Yeah.
That was really nice. But then at the same time, Luther and Benji are having their own little shenanigans and side mission because they've discovered a flipping nuclear bomb.
Or so they
It was
think.
good, this scene. It was creepy, this scene. I thought it was really cleverly done.
Yeah. It
So
kind of
when
set the
they
tone, didn't it?
showed
Yeah.
when they showed the movie to the test audiences, so to disarm the bomb, Benji has to answer a series of questions which are very revealing. They're almost like the questions that you might get asked before you're committed to an asylum or something, or going for therapy, because you've got mental health issues or something. I don't know. But one of the questions was, have you thought about harming yourself? To which Benji initially answers no and then has to say yes, because he's obviously got PTSD from what's happened
really?
previously.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It really upset the test audience,
Yeah,
so
I'm
that's
surprised.
then they had to reshoot and change it. But one of the original questions was that, which was quite hard.
It's interesting.
Yeah, and even Simon Pegg himself said that he thought it was a bit much. So yeah, bit of bit of downhearted trivia there for you boys.
Oh, Alex is gone. He's left. He's gone. You're
Oh,
right, Alex.
Did he show his ass crack?
Almost.
I know he's back.
We almost.
He's
got
very
him,
careful.
actually.
Oh, there we go. Oh,
Yeah, there
he's
we
got
go. There we
strategically-
go.
Strategically
echo?
placed the mic to cover it.
just
Yeah.
like old
What a
times, eh?
treat! What a treat! There you go,
It's
viewers.
all right, just
If you're listening
bit
to the audio
dark out
version,
there.
quickly flip over to the YouTube version and rewind.
Get
All
onto
done.
YouTube at about 37 minutes in.
Yeah, we're going to be doing some short
It's
stuff
just
as
getting
well.
dark. I had to close the
Looping
window. That was all. It doesn't help that I'm wearing shorts.
Ooh,
So,
he's
anyway.
gone skimpy for the podcast tonight, folks.
Just
Oh, God,
Borat,
brilliant.
Borat short.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I wonder if we should mix in no, let's keep the tech and the funny runs separate.
Yeah.
But I did like the run when he does manage to get away from the agents, because they're sort of looking around and he's running on the roof in the background. It was very sort of
Yeah, that was very funny.
like old school Hitchcock
Yeah.
or
It
whatever. Do you know what I mean?
North by Northwest.
The bit where they're trying to find him in the airport and Luther's hacked into the facial recognition.
That's cool.
And so Tarzan is basically grabbing people's faces and stuff. That was improvised. And then they kept it in.
Oh, that's nice.
Because he originally asked, he said, should he be grabbing faces? And they're like, no, that's a bit too much. And then he just went and did it.
I mean,
and
think
it
about
worked.
when this is filmed, Bobby, and it's the pandemic. It's probably the most, the least sensitive thing to do right then, wasn't it? Really, is grab someone's face.
Yeah, I don't think they were really thinking about that. But
I think it's fine
but-
now. Like, I don't think people really think about it
No.
quite so
No,
strictly as they did at the time.
it's good. He could say, especially when when Luther starts putting his face on like people in like the proper sort of Abu Dhabi outfits and
Yeah.
the long sort of outfits they wear. It was just like, come on, guys, come on, seriously. It's fun.
yeah.
Yeah, it's clever.
So the action then moves to Rome because Grace manages to escape, but then she gets to Rome and she's promptly arrested. So we catch up with her, 300 passports thrown down on the table.
A very decent ball moment there.
Yeah, exactly. And then Ethan turns up as her quote-unquote lawyer. And the chase that follows, where she first grabs the police car, and then Ethan catches up with her, and then they find the safe car. And that in itself was absolutely brilliant, because they sort of pan on the Ferrari, and then when he clicks the thing, the alarm goes off on that little
yellow.
Fiat. What was it, Alex? A Fiat what?
Fiat 500, but it's
was
an
an old Fiat 500,
Fiat
the original.
500. We'll talk about it later.
It's a
Yeah.
the Fiat 500. Yeah, it was a tiny little one, wasn't it?
But yeah, it was one of the old school ones, not nothing to do with the new one. It's the original, and they put the electric sound on it as well.
Yeah. By the way, the scene in the courtroom area where Ethan pretends to be her lawyer, they filmed Tom Cruise and Haley Atwell at different times. They were never in the same room for that scene, so it's quite good acting. And you think about that,
right.
They were speaking to no one. I think because of conflicts and things. So they weren't actually in the room at the same time at any point. That's for that scene.
So what was she doing at that time?
I don't know. Maybe it was another Marvel thing or something. I don't know, but or it could just be something that Tom had to do. I don't know, because he's a producer as well as the team. Maybe he can't be everywhere at once. I don't know. But yeah, it's just interesting that they weren't. That happens quite often in films, and it's always well done. I think. No, well, she wouldn't have been doing any Peggy Carter stuff, was she? No, it was much
I
later
wouldn't
than
have
that.
thought. I don't think so.
No, unless what was the Marvel movie where they had
She went in,
the
didn't she,
Fantastic
across America?
Four?
Yeah,
That's it. It was like the alternate, but then they freaking killed all.
Doctor Strange film, wasn't it? It's the second Doctor Strange film, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if it was anything to do with that.
Possibly. This was filmed in.
But anyway.
Anyway.
Maybe.
Yeah. So Rome is also where we first. So this the car chase thing was where Carolina turned around and she was having such a great time, and she was like, okay, I think she said this is now my favorite Mission Impossible. Yeah, and she's given me permission to go and find one of those old Fiat 500s and buy one. So yeah,
Buy one.
I had to log back it. Yeah.
You're going to convert it into an electric one, are you?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm just gonna, keep it as it is. But it'll be a nice little run around.
It will be great fun for about 3 times, and then after that,
exactly,
we won't use it.
Although it would have come in handy today, but that's another story. So yeah, but that whole Rome sequence was awesome. All the stunt driving, everything about it was just freaking great.
One-handed with his other arm handcuffed. I mean, that's bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. Again, if you listen to this, folks, or watching this and thinking, "What, you don't know what you're talking about? That was a stunt driver." No. Again, in the featurettes, he's doing all of that. I think there's one particular sequence with a beam where he has to flip it or turn it. He did it 3 times, three takes. Every time he did it perfectly. Nice. It's just he's a man who knows what he's doing. He's so intimately in tune with the vehicles and machinery he drives and flies that I guess it's just for him. It's just second nature. What a guy! What a guy!
What a guy!
Yeah, 61 years old in this film as well. It's unbelievable.
He was 61 in this.
61,
oh my god!
Yeah, 61. So putting us to shame, chaps. But there you go.
Scary.
Yeah.
What BMW was he driving, Bobby? Was it a 2022 BMW M5 competition by any chance? Looks like it was.
No, I think it was an M3.
You sure?
They really like their M3s in these films.
I'll have to fact check that. But yeah, again, Beamer obviously have a big product placement in here.
Totally.
Despite them all getting smashed to bits in them, but
We'll come on to it.
Rome. Oh god, sorry. Rome
Wake
is
up,
also
Bobby.
where we. Oh my god.
Wake up.
Rome is also where we actually meet Gabriel for the first time in person. Yeah. And we know that the Italian detective is going to get it. But yeah, I don't know, the guy's just
slimy, isn't he?
There's some
slimy.
Yeah, slippery, slimy. There's something he keeps. Is something inevitable about him? Is that because he keeps talking about inevitability?
Well, he knows. He obviously he's very confident in the entity's ability to predict the future and predict circumstances. That he's just obviously lavishiously enjoying the inevitability of his solutions. Or he knows that there's going to be one way or another way, but one of those 2 ways is going to be the way, like the choice he gives Ethan with his 2 female counterparts. So Yeah, I mean, it's very kind of cleverly done to make you not like the character. I thought it was very, very, again, an interesting villain. Because he's not a clever villain. He doesn't strike me as being intelligent. He just strikes me as being good at following instructions. And I think that's going to be his downfall. Because Ethan's having to completely adapt the whole time around this essentially unstoppable AI. Whereas I think, there's one particular sequence right at the end where Gabriel gets really annoyed because he's so comfortable in the predictions, and when it goes wrong, he gets really upset about it. So I think it's really he's not a super genius villain, is he? He's kind of like
he's a puppet.
He's a proper evil puppet,
Yeah. The thing is, I remember seeing this the first time, and I remember having to go through most of the film before sort of then that was made obvious. But up until then, I couldn't really work out what he was. But then, the first time you see these films, it's all about the spectacle, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's only on the second viewing.
Bobby. Exactly right, because I felt the same way. I saw it at the cinema, and it was all about the whoa, the roller coaster ride. Watching it again, it's much clearer what's going on, which I don't know if that's a good thing, really.
Yeah.
I think here we go. Thinking about our ratings later on, but I do think Fallout was a clearer story in that respect.
Yeah.
We'll come to that later on. Okay, carry on, Bobby.
Yeah. Well, after Rome, they then go to Venice, and again, they're basically just following Grace because she's obviously got this. No, does she have the first bit of the key? Who's got the first half of the key by this time? I've forgotten.
Does have the first bit of the key.
Yeah, she's got the first half of the
retrieves
key.
it from the mystery
because
business.
she puts it in Zola's pocket, doesn't she? In that.
Yeah, that's it.
Venice.
Yeah, so we're at the club in Rome, and there's a party that Alana's holding, the White Widow.
Venice.
Sorry.
Venice.
God, it's all so. Oh, I've just kicked my camera. It's all very, very confusing now. It wasn't confusing when I watched this film last night. I think I'm tired. Alana, I'd be so glad when these Mission Impossible films are as awesome as they are.
Don't stop. Oh, more Mission Impossible.
Fine.
MOAR, more.
So we find out that Alana hired Grace to steal the first part of the key. She will sell the completed key to whoever her buyer is, and we don't know who that is, on the Orient Express the very next day. Gabriel says that he's the one that will have the completed key the next day, and that one of Ilsa or Grace is going to die. Ethan then tells Alana that she's making a big mistake and she's going to regret it, but Alana's like, it's fine. I need to do this because she's fearful of her own life. There's just something very subtle that she gives away.
Bobby, before you move on there, hold that thought. Alex, when you watched this film for the first time, who did you think was going to die, Grace or Ilsa? Honestly.
So I didn't want either of them to die. I thought that Grace was going to die. So when Ilsa died, I was just like, no. Because I wasn't expecting it.
Because obviously Alex is our minus canary for Mission Impossible.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So I didn't have the background. I didn't know what's coming up. I just thought, no. But the thing that's frustrating is as you watch it, they set it up as if she's one of the gang. And the more they set her up, the more I'm like...
picture behind you. Perfect timing, Alex.
The more that, I'm like, the more I'm like, oh no, oh no, don't do that.
Do you know why, Alex, why she died? So you said she's one of the gang. Well, Rebecca Ferguson, by the third film, was keen to stop doing Mission Impossibles. So she and the filmmakers agreed this would be her last film. She felt that her character was becoming too part of the gang. She preferred the role when she was a bit of an outcast. And a bit,
she wanted to be an outcast.
Off the wall. Yeah. And she also wanted to, as I said before in the previous podcast, she wanted to pursue other films. I almost, because I'd forgotten you'd already seen this, but I thought I was going to give away that she was going to get killed off in our last podcast. So I changed tack very quickly.
You didn't give it away, so you were all fine. I'm also not
for
that
our
observant,
listeners, I thought.
so it's fine.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, so I think that she wanted to leave. I mean, she loved the films, but as Bobby said, but she wanted to move on to do other films. So that's why It is very sad. When I watched it the first time, I was completely thrown because there's a lot of juggling around with knives on the bridge, isn't there, Bobby? Because you just didn't know where it was going to go.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, back to Vanessa. You were just about to say something about Vanessa's the way she looked at the party.
Yeah, so she she hears what Ethan's saying, I think, is what her expression. This is the beauty of Vanessa Kirby, just gave such an amazing performance through this film.
Very nuanced.
She's obviously heard what he said, and I think she knows that he's right, but she seems like she's got no choice because her own life is in danger. I don't know if either of you picked up on that.
Well, they explain that to her that yes, you're going to sell this to this guy, but the rest of the world's going to be after you because you haven't sold it to them essentially, and she's kind of like, ooh. But she is a criminal, and criminals have different motivations completely.
Yeah, it's the life that he chose. I mean, either way, Gabriel escapes or gets out of there because he goes after Grace, and then obviously Ilsa goes after him, and then Ethan basically wants to go after all of them because he needs to save them, but then he gets trapped in a narrow alley with
that scene's brilliant.
With Pom and the other bloke, and that scene is okay.
It's the AI changing Benji's voice. That's what really spooked me out.
That's it.
That's that bit.
But that happens after he deals with Paris, and that Paris fight was absolutely brutal. And Pom Klementieff, very famously, she told Tom Cruise to punch her in the stomach, or kick her in the stomach, because she thought it would just make a better scene, it would be more effective. He didn't want to do it, and she insisted in the end. Apparently she tensed her stomach up and he basically did it. But again, it was twisted in the media, and people, they got bad press for it as well. She's to this day is still talking about it, trying to put a positive spin on it, but I think sort of damage was done, unfortunately. It's the world we live in these days. But yeah, it was a great fight. I wasn't happy about the editing just because I couldn't really see the fight, if you know what I mean. But then, I don't know. I'm really picking hairs here.
Well, it's quite close quarters because they're jammed in this very small alleyway. So I wonder if that was designed to be more claustrophobic and make you, because you feel uncomfortable now thinking about it, Bobby. Maybe that's the intention, to make you uncomfortable.
And I felt I was super uncomfortable watching it.
Well, it's a little bit desperate for Tom. He's out of his comfort zone. He's not got that space. He's got this crazy lady with a pole, and he's got the other guy who keeps getting up and beating him from behind. Also, he's frantically trying to get out of there to save Grace. And
this is it. He doesn't really want this fight.
It's a real desperate scene for him, and maybe that's why the editing change in that scene. I don't know.
I like that he spared Paris's life as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was a known foreshadowing plot point there. Straight away, the first time. I mean, you probably saw it, Alex, when you first watched it.
Yeah, I was expecting that, but
going to pay off later on.
But I did, and we kind of knew that. And what I found interesting was then they reference it and make it part of the plot, which is fine because the end of the day, that's what we expected anyway. So it was just the fact that they said he was just about to shoot her, just kind of cemented that. So and just it did make me feel like, oh good, well we know what's going to happen now. So that's okay. What I didn't expect is the train, Uncharted moment. But not just one moment. There were like several different carriages that they went through.
Well, they've copied Uncharted before, haven't they, Alex? When Ethan Hunt goes out the back of the plane at the beginning of Rogue Nation, I think, on the with all the cargo on the netting. There's a whole sequence in Uncharted where you're having to climb up that netting and get back in the plane. So he's obviously an Uncharted fan, definitely. Or McHugh is. So anyway, we're back to the alleyway, and Ethan's beaten up those two, and he's out, but he's now being given directions by Benji, and there's this wonderful moment where Benji can hear his own voice being superseded by the AI, and screaming, "No, no, Ethan, no, don't listen."
And it's really funny
so
because
good.
if you listen to that in Dolby Atmos, you could really hear that it was Benji,
like
but
change.
it wasn't Benji.
Yeah,
It was like an AI impersonation.
Yeah.
Because even the intonation, the energy was slightly different because we're used to Benji yelling directions down the phone Ethan
right at
film
the
after
end,
film.
Right at the end, he starts to become, "No, Ethan," and the voice changes and becomes more authoritative, and that's when he's
terrifying.
When Ethan twigs, it's like, oh, again, goosebumps for that, So cracking scene.
Oh, foiled again. That dastardly AI. Look, another fine mess you got me into.
Yeah. Dear.
But then it leads to well, Grace has got some fighting skills, right? Because she pulls that knife out and she's got some moves, but then Gabriel gets the better of her. But just as he's about to land the killing blow, Ilsa turns up. And I remember seeing
this for you or something. He says like, "I've been looking forward to fighting you." Sorry,
it's testament to kind of how they've built the character that I was very, very upset the first time I saw this scene, and I was very, very upset the second time as well, almost willing it not to happen. And even Simon Pegg said because they become such good friends, the grief that you sort of see afterwards in the next scene when they're sort of all together with Grace, and Grace is, obviously blaming herself for what happened. Simon Pegg said that, the upset you see on our faces is real because, we felt like we'd lost a friend because, she wasn't going to be in it anymore. But yeah, I was very upset. Alex, on the scale of 1 to 10, where was the emotional gravity for you?
So it was quite high. I'd give it about a 9.5. So
Pretty
there
high.
was a lot of emotional elements in this film, a lot, and there was a lot of action to it. It was pretty balanced, but yeah, this felt a bit more like that one with the virus that was about to
Mission Impossible 2.
Yeah, 2. So it's like that in terms of emotional aspects. Like they'd really worked on it, but what's nice is that we got there organically, so we didn't have to set the scene. So yeah, no, I liked it. I thought it was very good.
Yeah. So then Luther basically says he needs to go. He needs to just go off grid so that the entity can't interfere with him. And before he goes,
he's very smart.
Yeah, very. But before he goes, he challenges Ethan because he knows that Ethan's got revenge on his mind, but obviously they need to take Gabriel alive because he's the only person that knows exactly what the entity is and what it does and so on. And then we go to the train. Now, my first question is, where were all the people? Were they were still on the train, right? By the end of all of that,
so
they were just.
There's a scene
at the rear.
Briggs and Degas, Degas trying to politely say in French to the people on the train, "Pardonnez-moi, mesdames et messieurs, si vous voulez avancer." Anyway, Briggs goes, shoots and goes, "Get off this train now!" And so they all run down to the front end of the train. So that's why the back of the train is empty. Did you know, by the way, that the Mission Impossible production crew completely made a fully working train from scratch for this scene? This was not a train that was brought in. In the featurette, you can see them building the structure of the train. They built the entire train so they could throw it off a mountain, throw it off a cliff edge. But this train was designed and built by the crew. It was not brought in. So they could design it so it had all the working elements like the kitchen and all the other, but also allowing mounts and things for cameras and so on. I mean, the cost, this is why this is the highest budget Mission Impossible film. The cost for that is, unbelievable. They're really clever. And they got really lucky finding this valley in Norway with a train line through the middle of it as well. They could just drive up and down for their filming. Cracking scene though.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, when they, well, first of all, Gabriel shows again his ruthlessness because the way he dispatches those two poor driver stroke engineer people is absolutely freaking awful. And then he bloody hangs one of them on the thing to keep it propped.
So it keeps ringing the whistle. Keeps pulling. Yeah.
Yeah, it's horrible.
That's not good, is it? That's not. There's no redemption for this character in the second film, is there? He's going down in flames at some point, or in water at some point.
No, he freaking deserves to. And then we get him and
unless he isn't actually pulling all the strings and actually behind Gabriel, his boss is an even more evil person, and that is Grace.
I think you'd better stop. I think we might have broken Bobby. I think
I glitched again.
Yeah, that's it. Is that your buffer face?
No, that was my buffer phase. No, in my mind I was going back to that scene. I was just replaying it in my head. Because then because before we get the crash, it's Ethan and
the battle on the top.
What's his face on top of the train fighting each other.
Little homage to the Eurotunnel sequence, isn't it?
Really?
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
And I think it's also the point where Briggs and the other one I think always thought that Ethan was on the right side.
Yeah.
But obviously Briggs didn't. But I think it's the first time that Briggs obviously now starts to change his thinking about Ethan, and then obviously Ethan consolidates that by giving him his gun back and then telling him to go help get people off that freaking train or move them or whatever. And then it crashes, and then each carriage goes over the cliff one at a time, and it is just one thing after another. Oh my God, it's probably the best train sequence I think I've ever seen in my life on film.
Yeah, it's very good. I mean, I think it's probably one of the rare few scenes where they had to employ a fair bit of CGI for the safety of the actors. But I mean, it's so clever and so well done, and also even then there's a little bit of pathos in there as well, a little bit of emotion between them as she's too scared to jump across from where she is before the piano crashes down, and you keep thinking that link between the characters is just going to break just too soon for them. And we have lost Alex, so we'll keep chatting, Bobby. But I think Alex has fallen off a cliff somewhere. We lost him. So, yeah. It's too much.
Alex, can you hear us?
Don't know.
No, it's good. He was so overwhelmed by this film.
Here he is. We thought you'd fallen off a cliff in a train, Alex, for a second there. Sorry.
He didn't make it.
No.
Alex jumped onto a side table and broke it.
He had a power cut.
Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you, yeah.
Great.
Has your battery backup kicked in, Alex?
Yeah.
You've got about 15 minutes before that runs out. 15 minutes for your isolated power supply?
No. I can go a few hours. It's fine.
Oh yeah, we don't want to go a few hours, so don't worry about it.
Our listeners definitely don't want to go for a few hours.
I didn't want to miss out.
The sequence, and then the train. When the train does go, the engine goes over. So they actually attached several high-end 6-figure cameras to the train, which they then they did kind of cover in certain materials to protect them, but they dropped them down the ravine and just prayed that the cameras would record that sequence because it was a one-shot. They could only knock that train over once, and otherwise it's a complete, they'd have to reshoot completely or CGI it.
Insane,
but they did. They retrieved the cameras. The cameras are in a good enough condition to reuse as well, which is just amazing. And they got all the footage, which is fantastic. They got very lucky with the film. I mean, very unlucky as well with COVID, but very lucky many, many times, which is really impressive.
And again, so much to talk about in this sequence because you've got, oh God, what's the bloody idiot's name? Gabriel.
Okay.
Obviously, Gabriel killing the Carrie Elwes bloke because he's the only person that obviously knows what the entity is, what it does, how to kill it.
Denlinger, I think his name is.
Yeah. It's a stupid name. And so he kills him, and then he turns around and tries to kill Paris because he says that it's been predicted that she will betray them. then obviously train crash. But I don't want to move on from this without talking about Vanessa Kirby's performance as
Grace.
Grace, as herself.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
Again, behind Alex is Grace, is Vanessa Kirby passed out, the real White Widow. But yeah, it was really good, and it was clever because you could see the hair was slightly more dishevelled, where she'd put the mask on quickly, and
the eyes as well,
around.
The brown
really
eyes.
Good. Yeah, the brown eyes. It's really clever.
How her own brother didn't notice that her eyes were a completely different
he's
colour.
He's a man, and men don't notice these things.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That was a bit silly for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, she nailed a Hayley Atwell, shall we call it?
Yeah.
She just did such a great job.
Very good. Very good.
You know, like when Kitteridge is slagging her off, and she's like, "Well, you know, if you got to know her, I think."
I thought it was really impressive. She managed to convince Kitteridge to give her a pardon. Like, what was this criminal doing, asking Grace to be pardoned? It was really interesting.
Yeah,
totally. She did a very good job. And then we see her redemption story here, Hayley, as in Grace, when she puts her own bank account number in and potentially could receive $100 million, and she cancels it because she's made that choice there, hasn't she? She wants to join the IMF at this stage.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, no, it's about doing the right thing.
Well, yeah, exactly. But that is what the choice is when you're in the IMF, isn't it? Doing the right thing. Yeah,
exactly. Maybe that's why she goes rogue in the next one, John. Because she's pissed off about the 100 million.
Yeah, that could be it. You see, it was all coming together. Yeah.
So obviously they have the paraglider, but it can only take one person. So obviously Ethan's the one that has to go. So Grace stays, tells Kitteridge that that she will make the choice, and so she's joining the IMF. And then Ethan escapes by paraglider, which again did himself.
Gliding. It's not a paraglider; it's a speed glider, and they're a smaller chute. And this is one of the most dangerous sports in the world, the speed glider. And again, Tom Cruise spent thousands of hours. He spent years training for this as well, and the crew were terrified when he went down because he's literally 15, 20 feet away from rock face as he's going down at sort of 60, 80 miles an hour and doing all these spirals and loops he trained for. You know, I don't think you really appreciate it because he's quite graceful, but he's speed gliding, and that's a very dangerous sport. We haven't even talked about his jump off the mountain onto the train, like the biggest stunt of the whole film, which was the big thing they marketed, wasn't it? They showed a lot of featurettes about that.
That was great, wasn't it?
It was a very good stunt. You know, I think in some respects, I think it was a bit of a wasted opportunity, that stunt. It was the big stunt. I just felt like it didn't have as much impact as some of the other stunts the other films have had. I don't know why. Don't know how you feel about that.
But it wasn't. It wasn't. Sorry, hang on a minute.
The motorbike off the mountain.
The motorbike off the thing. Yeah. Oh my god.
So that's how he got in to save Grace, isn't it? At the end.
I quite liked it, but I think that's because I hadn't seen the film.
Yeah.
But I had seen all of the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
So I recognised it when it came up, and I was like, "Oh, nice! I can see what they've done there." So I think that but you shouldn't have a scene where you need to have watched the back to the behind the scenes stuff.
So it was a fun scene, the Benji and his remote control beamer, telling him to just keep going straight.
Yeah.
I know the best thing was when he gets in the passenger seat and he's about to start doing and then he looks at it and then he puts his seatbelt on.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was good. It was a good stunt. It's an amazing stunt. I mean, absolutely ridiculous stunt. I don't know if it was necessary in the film. That's the only thing. You know what I mean?
Was it necessary? I mean, how else is it going to get? How else is Ethan Hunt going to get on the train? It's always him, right? Because there was a bit of that why me, but he's the only man for the job. Basically, he's the only one capable. He's the only one that can save us. Obi-Wan. He's our only hope. So yeah. But anyway, so we're pretty much at the end of the film because
it talks about the end
because
bit,
yeah,
about what's next.
Ethan goes because he needs to. So he goes on the little glider thing.
Yeah.
Grace can't join
Speed
him.
glider.
She joins the IMF. He then sort of goes to join Benji because they then need to continue the mission to go find the entity and go to the Arctic.
But he shows Benji that he's got the key, and then you see
because
obviously
he pickpocketed it from that idiot during the fight.
He's really annoyed because he's not.
I've been.
You know what I mean?
Damn that wabbit!
Yeah.
Damn that wabbit's foot. Suffering succotash. Sorry, I'm going through all the Looney Tunes.
Bobby is now delirious with tiredness.
Totally. So I think to give me a
wrap up
break,
with the funny runs and the gadgets, don't we?
Let's talk about funny runs and gadgets. Yep. Keep it brief, please.
Okay. So you've got. I think the biggest scene is him running down the building in Venice with all the candles. There's a proper funny run there. There's a lot of him chasing down
the Etihad.
people. And yes, the Etihad sequence where he runs across the building as well.
So there is a fair bit, but it is part of the story, isn't it? Now.
Yeah. I started to lose count because there's quite a lot of running in Venice. There's quite a lot of running in Etihad. However, I'm gonna die before I say this. Rotten Tomatoes has analysed all his running from this film, and actually he's run less in this film than in the last film. Only 2,131 feet, about 0.4 miles. So, although he looks like he's running more in this film, he ran less than in the previous film, which is really interesting. So, I don't think there's any schmooze here, although I thought that we need to mention that wonderful scene where they're on the top of a building in Venice, and it's him and Ilsa, and they have a little hug, and I thought that was really nicely done, but also completely foreshadowing Ilsa's death, obviously, as they're getting close. But so I'm going to give this one in our score sheet a funny run rating of 7 distinct funny running scenes and a 0.5 schmooze because that hug was really nice. Okay, over to you, Alex, for gadgets.
Nope. I mean, that's quite. I'm a little bit surprised because I think it should have been a little bit more than that. But
what schmooze?
Anyway, no, the running.
Oh, I'll give it 10 then. Yeah, give it 10.
Well, yeah, there's a fair bit of running.
It's a properly exact science.
There is a lot in here. There is a lot.
There's a lot of running, but he still ran less than last film. But I'll give him more points.
And don't forget, there's some running on the train.
Yeah,
not a lot, but there is some.
And actually, there's a lot of desperate running in this film.
I mean, there was a lot of running during the Venice sequence when he's trying to save Grace and Ilsa. So
yeah, no, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Right, should we do gadgets then?
Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
So there are quite a few.
Please remember stuff that you might find in curries in 10 years' time.
Oh, I don't know about that, but we'll see. So the cruciform key was quite nice, wasn't it? Oh, I liked the fact they made it light up. I thought that was quite good.
The light ups though, Alex, the lights on the key were CGI.
You let me down.
So sorry about that.
I can't get that on my bifold doors then.
No.
Oh, that's a bit disappointing. Right. Moving on. So my rant. I'll keep this very short, but AI doesn't work this way.
No.
Really, whenever people say AI at the moment, what they really mean is machine learning, and it's a defined answer based on the data that it's got in, and it just kind of says, well, it looks like this in, so have something that looks like that out, and so I just find it a little bit frustrating. So throughout this, whenever there was the AI and the entity and behind the scenes in the club and stuff like that, I got very cringe. There is a first.
By the way, Alex, do you feel the same way about Star Trek, Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, Stargate, Fastgate?
No, because they're not trying to be real, whereas this is trying to be real.
It's funny though, but this was a callback to. Do you remember during Mission Impossible 2? I told you Oliver Stone originally was going to direct, and the original plot for that was basically what we're watching now.
What we're doing now, yeah.
Also, can I add, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not as much a geek as you, that AI couldn't do any of that anyway because of the sheer amount of power it would need.
It's not self-aware anyway. It could just keep doing
it. This is it.
It becoming
plus the fact
sentient
that it wouldn't be able
is
to
not
talk to things.
Becoming sentient is not a thing.
Also,
what you're looking for is a general purpose AI, which is what
AGI,
people would consider. Sorry, AGI, thank you.
Yeah.
But that is what people would consider like some, not sentience, but able to do all of the things that you would expect it to do without having to train it.
With all of this going on, and not just about the AI, but also with the way Benji and Luther can seamlessly hack into everything, right? These films assume, right, that we live in a world with absolutely high-speed, seamless internet anywhere in the world, all right?
Yep.
And we've all had problems just trying to get a 4G signal in most places. So
I have enough trouble. In the middle of my town, like I've literally I struggle to get a signal at all because I'm in a black spot.
Seamless internet they have wherever they go. That's the biggest sci-fi weird thing happening in this film. The most ridiculous.
Yeah,
thing.
that's true. So I'm going to put the rant down to side because otherwise Bobby will kill me.
Yeah.
But what I would like to do is this is a first. So I was quite impressed by this. This is the first time that his briefing right at the start was delivered by Deliveroo. Bet you didn't. It was in a lovely cool bag or heat bag from, and I was just like, they've gone and taken a delivery bag, haven't they? So yeah.
I recognised it because, as some people might know, during the pandemic, when my business was shut down, I had to do Deliveroo. No, I chose to Deliveroo and Uber Eats to try and put food on the table. So, literally, I used to steal people's chips.
Yeah. I've never had a Deliveroo.
Well, sometimes people's chips and things would fall into the bag. So, what's the guy gonna do?
I seriously, you're talking about this film, right? The sequence. I thought it was a brown paper bag. I've never seen a Deliveroo. I don't know what it looks like. So
it was a Deliveroo. They must have painted it black. But it's not only Deliveroo. You can get other ones. But I was just looking at it, going, they've got a Deliveroo delivery driver.
It did look like my old Deliveroo heat bag.
Maybe they've run out of budget by then. That's all they could get. Maybe.
Yeah. So anyway, they had because at that point it then went on to a super retro tape player. So anything from the past was completely ignored, and it was just tape player playing a micro cassette. And I was like, okay. A fun one for this entire film, and possibly the next one coming up, would be to have a drink whenever there's any mention or reference to AI. You would not last very long. So the gas mask when we were at the was it CIA? No.
Yeah.
Right at the beginning.
Yeah.
So that wasn't a gas mask at all, though, was it? It was made out of camera lenses. So I thought you might have spotted this, Bobby. But the DSLR camera lenses were literally stuck on. It was very cringe.
They were like
and then they had like
a teeth bite.
This is it. They had a gum guard in it as well. So they literally had like one of those gum guards in, and it just felt really homemade. Yeah. Well, I felt like it was one of those Invisaligns or maybe a rugby one. But anyway, that's not tech, but it really, really got me. The other thing is like the Geiger counter is a Zippo. It's a Zippo lighter. Don't hide it. It's just a Zippo lighter. So obviously we had the augmented reality glasses and it putting people in. Yes. So go on, Bobby. Yes.
Wants to talk about this, his meta glasses.
There is no way those glasses can do what they're doing because they do more than my Ray-Ban Metas, and my Ray-Ban Metas have got these little thick bits on the arms to house all the tech. Like they were just a normal pair of like aviators. There's no way.
Both Google and Apple dream of having glasses like this, don't they?
I know. Well, Apple definitely do. I'm not gonna...
Yeah, I found it fun.
If I remember, I'll try and put a link to my Vision Pro video up in the corner there
Very
somewhere.
good.
We should have live streamed this. Hey, for Final Reckoning, shall we live stream the thing on YouTube?
What, our podcast?
We can try. We can try do that.
Make it an event, I suppose, couldn't we? Yeah.
No one will watch it, but we'll just have fun.
Try.
Bobby's had a really good idea, boys and girls, right? So I'm going to put my ideas hat on. Yeah?
All
you
right.
can't see the lamp because of AI.
He looks like the Monopoly man.
I've got my little hat with a lamp on it, but AI has spoilt it because it cuts out my head.
Oh.
We've been calling Alex Inspector Gadget all this time.
Yeah.
That's weird. Look at that. Something weird going on there.
That is weird. Anyway, Alex, carry on. Shut up.
All right. Yeah, so I did find it quite funny that they then went, we're going to make this super smart, like isolated room in the CIA, and I was like, also not how it would work, because if it's isolated, you wouldn't actually have access to anything. So that's not how it works. To top it off, the crypto wallet on the USB-C drive. So that is how it works. Often it is on a drive, or you can
it's not empty.
Easily lose it. So it's not something that you should just have lying around. So I thought that was quite reasonable actually. But then it gets spoilt later on. So we'll come back to it. Obviously, the 14-character Sci-Fi was quite an interesting one. I thought that was quite a clever one. Again, not a gadget, but
did Rubik's make like a Rubik's puzzle like that once as well, like a tumbler one you can spin around? I'm sure it did.
I think so.
I don't know. I've had a couple of the Rubik's ones. I had one that was a clock that was quite cool. It was called Rubik's Clock, where it was like 9 of them, and you had to get them all to say the same time. So that was cool. When he orders his safe car, which was a great part of the film, so I really enjoyed that. I think he used a Samsung Flip 6, so it was definitely a Samsung that he used there. So that was just a nice bit of like normal tech that you can buy, Bobby. So that's good.
Okay.
Electric Fiat 500. So retrofitting one of those costs about 20 grand. So that's why no one retrofits EVs unless they're loaded. Yeah, they basically put a Tesla battery in it and a Tesla motor. There's not a huge amount of room in a Fiat 500, so you'd have to be creative about that. But yeah, so exactly. Yeah. We would probably go with a BMW i3 battery or a Nissan Leaf battery because they're smaller. But yeah, so
as well.
It's totally doable, but it takes more effort and money than it's worth. You might as well just go and buy a new EV. So anyway, I thought that.
You mean, Alex?
Well, I'd love to tell you more, but then I've got a review about that on the channel as well. So if you put that up here, that'd be great. And come ask me. I'll answer any questions about that as well. So, anyway, carry on. So the laptop that Benji uses, the dual screen laptop, is a real laptop. So it's the Asus ROG Zephyrus. Zephyrus Duo is the one it called, which had 2 screens, and it's a gaming laptop. But they had a sponsorship of it. So when they were going around Rome, you would see that. So anyway, I had.
Can I just interject? Going back to that Fiat 500.
Yeah.
So I just found one, but it's not an Abarth like that one. It's a 500D, 20,000 miles, 1967. The old E-Reg. Yeah,
nice.
In grey, and it is up for 12 grand.
Really? Wow.
And it's got a really nice interior. Let me drop this into the chat.
That will be a loved car. That will.
Yeah.
Probably,
I might race one in Gran Turismo.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah, that's really cool.
Oh, I need to set that up. You know, I've got the PSVR 2 finally made it out of its box. Oh, because you saw the unboxing video.
Yeah, I did.
So I need to set it up, but they don't charge the controllers won't charge, so I had to give up.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go again this weekend. So eventually I'll be on Gran Turismo, John, and then we can race each other.
Yeah, you don't need the controllers for that. You just need a normal controller for Gran Turismo.
Ah, cool.
Okay.
Right, can I continue with my my gadgets? If that's
Sorry, carry on.
I'm still going. I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, Oh, there we go. There's your Zephyrus duo. Anyway, so I with the whole entity like circle thing, that had real vibes of like Winamp's audio visualizer, or I think actually the Mac had a very similar one. So they had real vibes of that, and when it was speaking, I was just like, no, that's you're being quite lazy there. They've definitely picked something like that. Anyway, apart from that, we had Skywave Radio, which was an interesting thing when they went, oh, we're not going to go digital, we're going to go using analog. So, and they talked about Skywave Radio, which it must just be FM, because there isn't really like there's no other way to do it. I mean, you could AM if you want, but it really there'd be no point. So you might as well have just said we're going to do analog radio, or just radio would have been fine. You didn't need to say it's not digital. Anyway, the car that Benji gets driven around on in the thing is a BMW iX electric. So that's a very nice car. It's quite expensive, but it's lovely. So I do definitely recommend that. So what annoyed me is a really annoying part that you're gonna get annoyed with me about. But when what's her face, Grace, right, when she's putting in bank details, right, it then says encrypting the blockchain. So the blockchain and the bank are nothing to do with each other. Okay, if you have a bank, you use an IBAN number, and if you have a blockchain, that is not a bank. There is no bank. And so smashing the two together and just saying, oh yeah, that's how we do it securely, it really pissed me off. It was one of those things.
You need a loading bar, don't you, for like dramatic effect?
I know it was there for dramatic tension, but it just annoyed me. And blockchain is actually hugely inconvenient for doing this kind of stuff. So as we found out in the second one, because in the second one we actually had the whole, we can't get a decent mobile reception. So we did have this. We had this exact thing in the Eurostar, didn't we?
We did with Max.
Anyway, yeah, exactly. So that's the end. That's the end of it. That's all I had to say. But it's basically just AI annoys me, and don't talk to me about unconventional banking networks, because they're not the same. Yeah, exactly. And can we all have better 4G, please?
Yes. Well, 5G, in fact.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks, Alex. I think what I've learned from all of that, in all seriousness, is that Alex is not giving this film a 10. On the subject of which, Alex, let's go through ratings before this episode turns into, like as long as the actual film. Alex, out of 10.
Well, you're right. It's not getting a 10. I'm going to give it a 9.5. It is a very good film. There are just technical bits that piss me off, like AI in general. But the action scenes were brilliant. The locations were brilliant. And it all tied together really nicely. So it was, although it was a really long film, and I think the next one's going to be even longer. So, it's a really strong film, but I just can't give it a 10 because it said blockchain and AI, and those two trigger me. So, sorry about that.
Fair play. John?
Well, I had the same feeling at the end of this film as I did at the end of the most recent Spider-Man film. Not the live action, but the cartoon one was. Whereas I quite like a Mission Impossible to have.
I haven't seen it.
What?
The Miles Morales #2.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
It's a great film, really good film, but it's going to be another. And you need to go in knowing that to enjoy the film, I think.
Oh, okay, right.
So it's
I
not,
see what you
not
mean. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay. I went in knowing that, but I still wasn't. I thought it was a good film, and I enjoyed it a lot. I think I'd probably give it a different rating if I watched this and The Final Reckoning back to back. Does that make sense? I think they're a complete film. This is the first Mission Impossible that's kind of a half of a film. Does that make sense? The rest are all complete, even though the story carries on. So that annoyed me a little bit, and I just think I think it's a little bit overlong. I think the pace was better in Fallout. and I preferred Fallout to this, so I'm going to give this a 9 rather than a 10. So it's still a cracker of a film.
Ooh, okay.
With great, a masterfully made film, but I'm going to give it a 9. How about you, Bobby?
I'm with you. I mean, I know why this was part one. It's because when they sort of laid out the story, you know, Tom Cruise was like, "No, McHugh, we need to split this probably because." Yeah. Oh no! It was the other way around. So McQuarrie turned around and said,
"Back to back, weren't they?"
I don't know. I guess so, but yeah. Anyway, whatever. With what they wanted to do with it, they couldn't do it as one film. It was just going to be way too long. But I did know about that. So then I kind of put that aside and I just go back to how I felt watching it last night with my wife, who really, really enjoyed it as well. And, you know, you've got the train sequence, which again, for me, it's just heart in mouth. It's just one of the best action things I've ever seen on film. So I'm not going to knock it down to a 9. I'm going to give it a 9.5. 9.5, okay. Again, I love it as much as Fallout and Rogue Nation, but all three films for completely different reasons.
Yeah. Do we have a tenuous link for this film? Do we have any Alex's father?
I work for make clothes for a very famous adult actor
from this film.
Who is somehow, and I need to ask him how he knows her, but he is friends with Hayley Atwell.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's my tenuous link, that I'm one step away, and I should get him to introduce me
with a friend of Hayley Atwell. Get on the podcast, mate.
I'm going to ask my brother about submarines for the next one, so that way we'll have some info on that.
Sure,
so that'll be good. And you've got that as well, so
yeah,
great.
So what, you're going to do some research on submarines?
Well, no, my brother used to be in the Navy on submarine. He used to be a submariner.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow, cool. He can fact check for us, can't he?
That's a good point. He could.
Yeah. There we go. So that's given us a total score of 38.5, which is, again, the scores just keep going up, boys and girls. That is the highest score so far. Our lowest score was obviously for Mission Impossible 2 for 8. This is over double Mission Impossible 2 score. There you go.
Yeah, I can
highly accurate and mathematically correct. Maybe I should get AI to go through my scores and just check them for me as well. You know.
They're good at that. They're not bad, although just be aware that they can occasionally get calculations wrong. So,
over to you, Bobby.
Yeah, that's it really. Sorry I've been glitching away on this episode. I'm just bloody knackered.
Yeah.
I think, I'm tired. You know, it's a lot. We got the podcast, we got the YouTube channel, I've got work, you've got work, Alex has got work, we've got family stuff going on. So, yeah, but I have got my tickets booked for The Final Reckoning. We're going to see it a couple days after it comes out at the Odeon in Swiss Cottage. If this goes out in time, if anyone is watching or listening, let me know if you're going. I think Alex has got his booked. John has got his booked.
Got my free ticket.
Yeah. So we will get together as soon as we can after. We will have some initial reaction stuff for you. We'll all be recording, I should say, as we come out of our respective theatres, just to give you our initial reactions. We'll try and do that spoiler free. And then we'll get into spoilers probably the week after that movie's released. But we do enjoy making these, despite the fact that we're absolutely shattered. Bobby, thank you for joining us.
Bobby, my recording will just be one sentence, which will be, I was right about Grace. That's all mine's going to say. Okay?
Okay, fine.
Yeah, over to you.
That is a big...
Chandler, I knew it meme.
Yeah, I knew it.
Yeah,
I knew it.
But yeah, thank you for anyone that's still here. As always, thank you so much for sticking with us, Simon.
Listening to our podcast is like an impossible mission, isn't it? Really,
it is really.
We've made it, guys. We've caught up, and we've done it in time. So I think that's an achievement.
Now the real mission begins, which is me trying to get, because I still haven't edited the last two, and the film comes out in 1 week. Brilliant. So there's going to be a lot of Mission Impossible content crammed in over the coming days. Thank you, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on traditional podcast methods or whatever. Please leave us a rating, review, subscribe, follow, all of that lovely stuff. It really helps to support the channel. Tailoring Talk Magazine is exactly that. It's a magazine, and like most magazines, you read the articles you want and you don't read the articles that you don't want to read. So come check us out and take what you want and leave the rest on the table like you do with any good buffet. We will be back to review the Final Reckoning, and we'd love to hear from all of you lot about any ideas for content, anything that you have got going on in your lives that you want answers to, not the existential stuff, just, gadget-y type stuff and movies and things like that. And that's about it. I will sign off now by saying my usual, take care, be good to... I haven't done that for ages, actually, but take care, be good to each other. And we will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.